Hi, guys. Welcome. This is my first live. So I wanted to come on here and just because I had made 1,000 followers, I said I'm going to do a live. And this is my first live. I'm a little bit nervous because this is the first time that I'm doing a live. But yeah, I'm waiting for a few people to come in so we can have a good conversation. But the reason for this live is just to follow up on any questions or concerns that anybody may have dealing with Panama, whether it's Panama City, whether it's Boquete, or any of the information that I've shared. I am here to give a face to that information and answer any questions that you might have. So, welcome into my first live. So I'm here in Boquete. I've been here for a couple of weeks now. And so I moved in from Panama City. Originally, before I came into Panama City, I was in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for several years, and then decided eventually that I wanted to retire. And my retirement goal, I looked in the States and tried to retire somewhere in the States, but that wasn't possible financially wise, as I was still working as a nurse. And my husband, he was a firefighter, but he was retired. So he had been retired for several years before me. And so we were just waiting for me to retire. And so once I retired, we started looking for a place to call ours. Um, Hi, welcome to my first live. I'm just talking a little bit about how I got started on this journey and why I'm here in Boquete and Panama itself. So, if you're on, I want to welcome you. And if you like, tell me, you can tell me a little bit about where you're from. If you're planning on moving to Panama, is this something that you're interested in? Other than that, I'm gonna get back to my story. And I started looking for a place to retire. And I did a lot of overseas looking, and Panama checked all my boxes. They had everything I needed from a soft landing to good financial stability. They worked on the American dollar, and they had an awesome Pensionado visa. And so, because I'm a little bit earlier than retirement age, but I was retiring early, and I want to come in on that Pensionado visa. So that's exactly what we did. We came to Panama in, let me see, I want to say it was January. We visited for the first time in January of 2025, and we moved in April of 2025. And we've been in Panama ever since. Love Panama, absolutely love it. We stayed in the city for a while, and the city was a lot for me. I enjoyed it. However, it was so much going on from just walking outside of your door. I mean, I knew it was busy. I'm familiar with the city. I grew up in New Jersey and I live close by New York. So I know what a city is like, but I've never lived in the city per se. So it was just a whole different environment. It was a lot going on. So we started looking for a place that we can move to that was a little calmer. There are areas outside of Panama City within, I don't know, an hour, 45 minutes. However, for me, I wanted to be away from the city itself. So that's why we came out to Boquete. Um, Boquete has been an awesome experience, from the mountains to the fresh air to less traffic to less people to less going on. It's just been an awesome experience for me. So I'm enjoying Boquete a lot. I'm actually trying to share a lot of my experiences here because I met a lot of people who are considering moving to Panama City or even Boquete, but don't really have a lot of information about it. So I'm here to share all that I know about Boquete. I'm here to answer any questions that anyone may have. Um, Like I said, this is my first live, so I may not have everything down like I need it to be as far as answering questions and reading the chat. So, like I said, I wanted to start this tonight just so I can get an idea. I didn't put a warning that I would be chatting so people would know that I'm on live, but I will be doing another one soon. And I thank you, the self series. I appreciate you for being here. I will continue. And you are VA self employed writer. I do not have adult children. Being far kind of scares me, but have adjusted to that part. So, I do have adult children. I am a former VA employee myself. I was a registered nurse that worked with the VA for 13 years. And this is one of the reasons why I want to retire, to be honest with you. But um, as far as missing my children, I do miss them a lot. I have boys, they're adults. So, like, my oldest is 38. I have a 28-year-old, and my youngest one is 23. And they're all doing their own thing. They all have girlfriends. My oldest is married. I have a grandson. My middle son, he has a roommate, and my youngest son has a girlfriend. So they're doing their own thing. I get to talk to them every now and then when they're ready to deal with me, but I do miss them. But I think what makes it feel a little bit better is that you know that you did the most you could for them, providing and letting them live their own life. I'm here for them and they know that, so they can reach out to me whenever. But it is challenging to not have them, or I have adult parents that are still living. And so does my husband. We both have parents that are still living. So, the fact that we may have to go back to the States at some point, that's always in the back of our minds. Um, but with that being said, you always keep your emergency fund, have your money ready, keep you a couple of thousand on the side just in case you need to jump on a plane for whatever reason, whether it be to get up out of here because you don't know what's going on here, because, in the world, we're going through a lot of things. So you just never know what may happen. Thank you for your question. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you again. Stay connected with me. Um, but yeah, I wanted to do this just so that I can have people ask me questions directly. I come up with a lot of different titles here based on what I'm experiencing, maybe what I didn't find, like when I was searching online. Like, for instance, I wanted to move to Boquete, but I didn't hear a lot of good feedback from Boquete from people who look like me. Okay. There are a lot of people out there who like Boquete, but I didn't hear a lot of African American people talking about it. Actually, there were a few, but I heard more about Panama City. So, you're welcome. So I wanted to share from my experience what it's like moving from the States, having being close to retirement. I am retired because I live on a pension, but I am not retirement age. So there is a way for you to still be able to do this if you're not retired. So I've met so many people along this journey that have decided that the United States, or they maybe Canada, they just want to relocate out of the current system that we're in and live a different type of lifestyle. And you will be surprised as to how much you can do on your own if you just challenge yourself. Like, there's a lot of things that you can make money as doing on your own without having to work for a company, right? But that's a whole nother issue. My basic situation here is anything that's related to Panama or Boquete. So if you have any questions, please chime in and let me know um, if there's anything that you would like for me to talk about. Um, and let me know where you're from, and so that I can address you. Um, Mr. Dom Haley, thanks for mentioning about having an emergency fund while living there. That is so important. Yes. And depending on how you live, some people, when you come from the US, we're like this insurance. We have this thing on our mind, like we have to have medical insurance. You have to have insurance for this, insurance for that. I found in my research that it's more cost effective for me now, in my case, because I'm pretty healthy, so everybody's situation is different. But for me, I self insure. So I keep a large sum or a lump sum of money for myself and for my husband in savings. So, or you can get an insurance plan. You can do either or. Before we left Panama City, we had an insurance plan. But since moving to Boquete, it's very inexpensive to do your primary care. You will be surprised as how much you can afford on your own. Now, I would say for emergencies, you definitely should have some type of plan, some type of emergency hospitalization. But for like your chronic disease, you can manage that out of pocket. It's really not that bad. But back on my emergency fund, I just want to say that, anytime you travel overseas or in another country, you always need to have money set aside for any kind of emergency. It could be you have to rush back home. It could be you have emergency situation. You might, I don't know. I had a situation where there was a friend of mine who had an accident and broke and ripped a muscle in their arm. They had to have major surgery and they were just coming to Panama. So they didn't have insurance. So they just happened to have a lump sum of money. And so he was able to have his surgery. He had anesthesia. He had his muscle repaired. He was in the hospital for like 3 days. He had, after you have your surgery, you got to have your rehab. All that was included. His bill was around 8 grand. So that's 3 days in the hospital with a surgeon and an anesthesia and all the stuff that comes behind that. Could you imagine if that happened in the States? That could have easily been $30,000 with the hospital costs and everything. So I just wanted people to know that part about the insurance. Someone asked me, Rhonda Booker, can an esthetician, I can't pronounce that word real good. My enunciation is terrible, but I know what you mean. Do well. I'm from Texas. I'm licensed and looking to go there. So, any kind of job that you want to try to work in Panama, most jobs that are licensed, like cosmetologists, estheticians, nursing, doctors, massage therapists, all of those people that require a license, you cannot work in Panama unless you're Panamanian. If you're trying to move here, this is not the best place to come if you need to work here. If you're working virtually, that is an option because you're working outside of Panama. But they have strict regulations in Panama as to the working people here, and you have to be Panamanian to do that job that you have. So unfortunately, unless you esthetician is hands on, so it's probably not going to be a good fit here if you need to do here. Um, Let me know how the rainy season is there. So, Dom Haley, the rainy season. Wow, it just started for me. Okay, but the little bit, the little bit that I've seen, it's gonna be a big thing, right? The rain just drops out of the sky. The good thing I can say about it so far is that it's been timed. So, like in the mornings, it's pretty much clear. In the early afternoons is when the rain comes out for the most part. Now, that's what's going on right now. Later on, when it gets real deep into rainy season, I'll let you know how that is. That's going to be a trip too, because like I said, I'm here with no air. So I'm working on trying to maneuver my inside environment with just dehumidifiers and fans. So I'm trying to be tough and not buy air. That is always an option. I can get a mini split or I can get a window unit or one of those little temporary units. So we could get air. But my goal is to reduce my fingerprint in electricity, right? I want to try to live a little bit less dependent on the system. That's what I'm trying to do. We'll see how that works. Okay, So let's see, that's the rainy season. Thank you, Graham. I am for my 1,000 followers. I'm so excited about that. Yes. So, someone asked me, where are you now? And this is self-series. What's the biggest adjustment coming from Panama City? Also, is it possible to live in Panama but work remotely for a US company? And I just covered that. Absolutely. The It's possible to work for a US company remotely, and if you come here, like say if you decide you want to be a resident, you get some type of visa, not the pensionado visa, but a different visa, and you work remotely, they do not tax like I think it's the first $130,000 of money that you make. So they're not double taxing you. If you're paying taxes in the US, they're not going to double tax you here. Now, this is what let me not say 100%. This is what I heard, but I did not hear that from my attorney. So make sure you do the research. Don't, for me or anybody else, when people tell you something, just do extra research. You can't listen to everything everybody says. You have to be able to find out some things for yourself. But I know you can work remotely in the US if you live here. And my biggest adjustment coming from Panama City to Boquete, um, I don't know. I think it's all good. So one of the biggest things that I realized immediately is that the calmer environment works well for my body and my mental health. I went to Panama to readjust my nervous system. Like I was stuck in that fight or flight being in the US, always worried about working, always worried about how you're gonna make ends meet, always worried about somebody killing you. I mean, just all different kind of things. So my goal was to reset my nervous system. But I realized in Panama City, because it's so busy, you are you live kind of like you're on vacation. That's just me. I felt like I was never really at home. I felt like I was always on vacation because hanging out, spending money, drinking, partying, that's what you do in Panama City. So I found it very hard to balance a regular life and still do my vacation on the side. So I end up spending a whole lot more money than I wanted to. So if Panama City is your goal, make sure you have a plan about your budget and you stick to that, because that's what can really make or break your success, especially living in Panama City, because you're not keeping into account actually you hanging out and you having fun, you enjoying your retirement life or your life living in Panama, and you spending more money than you realize you are. Hanging out socially with a lot of your friends, enjoying yourself, yes, but that was one of the biggest adjustments for me, just learning how to live calmly and realizing that my life every day doesn't have to be a party. I don't need a party every day. Actually, I can party once every 2 or 3 months and I'm good. So that's why Boquete works better for me. Another thing, adjustment is we bought a car in Panama City. Now, you do not need a car in Boquete. They have buses, they have Uber, they have taxis, and they're very easy to catch off of Route 1. I live right off of Route 1, so you can walk up to the bus. But I have a car just because we bought a car before we left and I want to drive, right? I am able to drive in Boquete. In Panama City, I would never get behind the wheel. It's like when you're driving in Panama City, it's like your head is on a bobble. You got stuff coming from every which way. When they get ready to do those roundabouts, they're about 4 lanes deep. And you have people coming from the inside lane taking a right turn all the way across. It's crazy in Panama City. So in Boquete, I feel like I can calm down and live a regular life. So I'm driving and doing all the things I would do before. I hope that answers your question. Rhonda, you said you're a retired teacher and getting a pensionata visa. Trying, thank you. Yes, that pensionata visa is clutch. I'm saying when you go and you go eat, and everybody else's bill comes and you send yours back because you got that pensionata visa, and they going to give you money off of your bill, or you go to a museum, let's say, and it costs $10 to get in, but because you're on a pensionata, you cost $3. You're gonna love that when you go to the doctor, when you go get your medicine, when you fly on that airplane. When I go home to Georgia, I get 25% off of every airline ticket when I pick it up at Copa. That's like $300 off of my airline ticket. That's enough in itself right there. So come on with the Pensionado visa. I hate to flood you with questions. How about the language barrier? Are there lots of English speakers where you are now? That language barrier is a serious thing. There are a lot of English speaking expats here. There are a few English speaking Panamanians, but majority of your people are going to speak Spanish. And depending on where you are and what you're trying to do, it can become very challenging. Like, for instance, we there's a man who cuts a lady here's grass, and she ran into him on the street, and just trying to talk to him on the street with your translator app is you could just run into a lot of problems. So if you can learn some Spanish, just basic Spanish before you come, that would be awesome. And to just make yourself use it, because I find that's the problem. I went and I took two Spanish classes, and I'm pretty decent with understanding it, but speaking it terrible. And that's because I'm not pushing myself. So, like, I'm trying to make a concerted effort to speak more Spanish, but that is a thing. So that language barrier can be a thing, but there are enough English speakers here, so you will be okay here. Do they look at credit scores like in the US? Actually, they don't, and they're not connected. So once you leave the US, everything you've done in the US stays in the US. So once you get established in Panama, from what I understand for what they done for me, they based my income on my pension. So that's where my money is coming in. And you develop a whole nother credit line in Panama. They use what's called a cedula number, and it's like a social security number, similar in the US. And so everything is tied to your cedula here. But when I say nothing in the US is it's not like the US credit system. They don't compare. I don't even think that they have an actual per se credit system here. So what it looks like, say you want to buy a car here. If you have a pension or you have money coming in, that's what you establish to come here, because you have to have a certain amount of money to come here on a pension, right? Once you establish that money coming in and they see you have that money, that's what they're going to base your credit on. So you get a bank account here, you stay good on your bank account, and eventually it goes from there. So that's how I was able to get my credit. I did not buy anything on credit, or I have not bought anything on credit here yet. But we have been offered credit through the bank and stuff like that, but we haven't done it yet. That's not to say we won't. I'm trying to keep um, I don't want to be reliant on credit. So, hey, I'm trying to do that. All right. So the neighborhood is safe in the area compared to the city. So yes, the neighborhoods are safer here. You do have petty crime in this area. Think about where we are. We are in Boquete, and we live in the town where the locals live. And it's the indigenous locals. So those are the people that live in the mountains. And then you have a lot of expats coming here in this area with a lot of things, money. And so you get temptation for petty theft. But you have to just be smart. You either, they have bars on windows around here. You have fences around your property if that's what you want. Most people have a dog. You can get an alarm system. So, but this is safer here because it's less people. There's not people walking around your house, and there's not people like up on you like in the city where you could get pickpocket. So it's not like that. So it is safer. Thank you, Mr. Green, for loving the live. Thank you. So the pensionada visa. So the pensionada visa is a visa that you get when you're on a pension. Most of the time, people that get the pensionada visa are retired, or they have like Social Security, SSI, some type of disability payment coming in. The pensionada just means you have a lifetime pension coming in from somewhere, whether you make your own, you know how you can take your own money and make it pay you for your lifetime, you can do that. It just has to add up to, for one person, $1,000, and for a married couple, 1,200. So you have to prove on the Pensionado visa that you make at least $8,000 a month coming in for one person, or $1,200 for a couple. So that's a little bit about the Pensionado visa. It's a whole thing. So if you want to, if you that that's a good research question in Google, so it can tell you a lot more than I can tell you. Okay, so since someone, Rhonda asked, since business won't work, how do you get remote job? Any suggestions? How much does it cost to live comfortably? I hear so many different stories. I know I keep. That's cool. Thanks, Rhonda, for the question. Um, I don't have an example on how to get a remote job. I mean, I know they have a lot of them online, and sometimes if you already work somewhere, sometimes your jobs will allow you to work remote, depending on what you're doing. But they do have a lot of remote work online, so you can just kind of research that. Where you're talking about living comfortably, it depends on what your definition of comfortably is. If you're trying to live in something where cost is, a big thing for you. Say you have a certain amount of money that you want to pay for rent, say $800. That's the max that you want to pay for rent. Then you're going to base your lifestyle on that $800. So living in Panama City, I can tell you right now, you can live for $800, but you are not living in the areas that you think you might be in. That you might walk out and your hotel or your PH will be really nice, and then everything else around you looks like it just came out of the ghetto. Or, or you may be in an area that is not so safe for if you're a single female. So if you live further outside of Panama City, then your options open up. You get a lot more for $800. You can possibly even get a home for that amount of money. And even where I am in Boquete, it's very dependent on where you are. I'm in Alto, and then David is a little bit up from me. All those areas have reasonable rent. They're not right there in the city, but David is the second biggest city in Panama. So it's not Panama City, but it is a big city. So it depends on what you're looking for and where you want to be. Let's see. Do you know any great hotels not too expensive to stay in Panama City when I come there for my visa meeting? Grateful for any advice. So when I stay in Panama City, for the most part, I do Airbnbs. But the last time I was there, I stayed with my friend. We was at the Waymont. Check that hotel out. It's really nice. It's called the Waymont. It's really nice, and I want to say the room was like 100 and something a night. I want to say, but if you go on Airbnb, the Yo always has some nice. The YOO always has some nice Airbnbs at a reasonable price. Um, and then anywhere in it, to me, if you stay in either Bella Vista, San Francisco, those areas, they're kind of in the general area. So you'll be able to be in a good area. Hopefully that helps you. I'm sorry, I don't know any more about the hotels. I found a company, self series. I found a company called Panama Relocation Tour. Do you think that's a good idea to do something like that? So I think the relocation tours are a good idea, and it also depends on if your mind is set. Like if you don't have an idea of where you want to go, like you didn't do on the ground yourself, then a tour could possibly be good. I didn't do a tour myself. What I ended up doing was doing a little bit of research myself. I knew somebody in Panama City and I knew what area she was in. So I researched her area. There were a couple of areas I looked at. Panama, Bella Vista, San Francisco, and there was one other area, Congrejo, El Congrejo. Those were the three areas that I looked at. And so I just picked those three areas and went from there. But if you're talking about touring like Boquete, from Boquete to Coronado to Panama City, you want to go to different areas, yes. But if you're in one specific area, like you just want to be in Panama City, a tour might be good, maybe might not need one. So it just depends on how what you're trying to do. I think relocation tours are a good idea if you have the money to do one. Dom asks, are there any rental places under $1,000 per month there in Boquete? Absolutely, absolutely. Um, especially in if you're willing to go to David. Oh my goodness, I seen some beautiful homes, full fence yards, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, $650. I'm talking about beautiful. In Boquete, where I am at Alto, there are some homes here where I live at. Mine is 1,000, but there are some here that are less than that. It just depends. Um, there is a lady who lives down the street from me. Hers is going at like 550. So these could possibly go for less. It just depends on what they're offering. But absolutely, you can find good places. Even in Boquete, there are some places under $1,000. So yes, I would just say you either need to be on the ground, know somebody on the ground, so they can look at them for you because um, they will sell your dreams sometimes on Facebook and everywhere else. So if you're not on the ground, you might get sold some fish. You know what I mean? Catfish or however they say it. Okay. So I want to live in Boquete. Yay! I love Boquete. Waymont, yes. Try to Waymont out. Self-series, I'm looking into Davi. I just been some synchronous thinking me in that direction. Yes, Davi is awesome. There is also a backside of Davi. What is that area called? We just went through there today. There has several. Davi is really big, and they have even like they have Panamanian style homes, but they also have expat like us style homes being built. Because we like big kitchens and bigger rooms. They have those homes that are being built in Davi right now. I'm talking about really nice. So I think a lot of people steer away from Davi just because of how hot it could get there. But if you could deal with the heat and you got air conditioner, I think you'll be okay. So David is a good area. Hello from Maryland. Hi, Bliss Fuller Russins. I'm not gonna say your name right, but hi from Maryland. I did the panel. Okay, you did the she did the relocation tour in 2024. Highly recommended. So there you go. I will be moving there in 2 years. Boquete is wonderful, isn't it? I love Boquete. Like you guys, I went to Volcon today. OMG, if you like lush greenery, farmlands, it's in on that volcano. I'm talking about beautiful. The mountains are like plush. Like how on mountains you can see like the rocks, not in volcano. It's like all grass up the mountain. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. And it is still up and coming. So it's not as developed as Boquete yet, but it's gonna, man, when I tell you it's beautiful out there, and if you're looking to buy some land and develop or just do some things, that is a perfect spot because it's not as expensive as Boquete yet, but it's going to be. It is going to be. So yes, okay. I'm sorry, I got carried away a little bit. Okay. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to move forward with the booking a tour. Yes, book your tour. How are the dehumidifiers working out so far for now? So far so good. We haven't had like serious rainy nights back to back to back. So I think last night it rained a little bit, and then the night before that it was clear. So tonight, right now, it's clear. So I'm gonna be able to judge better once the rainy season starts and it starts raining back to back to back, so I can see how these dehumidifiers are really keeping my environment dry. But be willing. Don't be surprised if I be like, y'all, I had to get an air conditioner. I don't want to do it, but the potential is there. I don't want to do it. I'm trying not to. So, but I am so thankful that you guys were able to come on to my live with me and shares a little bit of information. I will be doing this again soon, but the next time I do it, I'm gonna post a 2 hour notification, let you know I'm gonna come on live and what I might want to talk about. But typically, I'm going to leave it open for us to discuss any questions you might have. I'm working on right now healthcare in Boquete. That is like my biggest pet peeve. As you guys know, I'm a nurse. So one of the biggest things I'm always thinking about is what will happen in a medical emergency? What will we do? And I know, let me get to this in a second. I know that there are several clinics in the area, and they have good clinics here, high level clinics, but certain things you need a hospital for. And so I know we have a hospital in Davie, which is from me 45 minutes away. So, like, what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do a whole series on medical care here in Boquete and how it will work. But I'm thinking planning is gonna be our biggest tool here. Yeah. So Dom, Haley, two other relocation tour companies that I've heard are Black Expats in Panama and Go Explore Panama are good ones from what I've heard. Okay, I've heard the same thing. I think the Go Explore Panama, I think that's with Big Will. I think I've done a tour with him. Not we went on an excursion with him. I believe that's him. So I've heard good things about both of those. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Michelle, for doing this live. Timing is so perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, Rhonda Booker. Okay, I need to invest in a dehumidifier. Huh? My hair is natural. I'll start off like Shaka Khan, but end up like Floyd. Girl, wait a minute. Why do you think my hair is like this? I gave up the ghost a long time ago. I'm just like, the way you see the me coming is the way you're gonna see me going. So I don't even worry about it. But I get you on that thing. That dehumidifier, I don't know if it's gonna save the hair, but it does keep the environment a little bit drier. So go ahead and invest you in one. You're gonna need it. Plus, not only with your hair, it'd be more important for your clothes. Have you ever tried to wear some clothes from the cleaners that has been in a moist room and it has that crease, but everything is soft? It's terrible. So you want to have your moisture down to a good level. Mm. All right, guys. Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm not going to keep you any longer. It's true at the self series. Yes. So, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys soon for the next live. And whoever has a zillion questions, come on board because I'm ready for you. I got a zillion answers. All right. I hope you guys have a great, great evening, and I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.